As the conflict in Syria continues, it's been extremely hard to establish exactly what's been happening here inside the country. We're joined now by independent journalist Thierry Meyssan. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, you've been working on the ground here in Syria. Can you tell us what your perceptions of the situation are?
It began with some armed groups entering inside the country and making big troubles, trying to create Islamic emirates on the border, first in near Jordan. And these people recruit some others to make bigger fighting groups. And now they are entering in coordination with a political opposition. And you know that in this country there is a long history of opposition between the Baas Party and the Muslim Brotherhood. So now there is an alliance between this, the Muslim Brothers and these armed groups coming from abroad. So that's why these groups can go quite everywhere, because they have some support now inside the population. It began by foreign subversion, but they find support inside the country. And it's difficult to know why they find this support. If it's because the people is ready to use any means to reverse the government, or if it's for some ideological reasons. And if you heard the Muslim Brothers, they said they will reverse the President Bashar al-Assad, not because they want democracy, but because he's Alawite. So it could be the beginning of a religious war inside the country.
Now, we've heard Syria described as a country on the brink of civil war. Do you think the situation's actually there yet?
We have seen the beginning of a civil war in some places, especially in Banyas, but now it's finished, and now in Homs. But nothing is extending to the country. So I think because of this external pressure against Syria, and all these people entering inside Syria will continue. But I don't think, and I have no reason now to think, that it will extend to all the country. By the past, this country was an example of friendly living between the different communities. And since a very long time, that's not at all from the Baas, that's from the history of Syria. You know that since the 13th century in Damascus there is a big mosque, and in this mosque every day there is Christian, Sunni and Shias, and sometimes by the past Jewish people praying together every day in the same mosque. So they have a long tradition of peaceful coexistence between the communities. But since the 10 last years in the Middle East, the imperialistic system is pushing the division between the communities. And that's this idea to reshape the greater Middle East, dividing the people in different sects. We can see that there is now some people in this country supporting this project of hostility between different communities, and some of them are saying that as the Sunnis are the most important community, they have to control the power and to exclude other sects from the power.
Now, you were also on the ground during the war in Libya. In what ways would you draw comparisons to the situation that's happening now in Syria?
So the way to act for NATO is exactly the same. They do exactly the same way to create the file on the United Nations, first with the Geneva Council on Human Rights and after in the Security Council. They try to manipulate the Arab League exactly in the same way. In the Libyan case, they organized a big story in front of the Geneva Council for Human Rights. They said there is 5,000 people killed by the security forces. Of course, it's absolutely wrong. There is a lot of people killed, but very few by the security forces. Most of them are killed by these armed groups they put inside the country. But the same armed groups they use in Libya. And now there is some different estimation, but you have at least 600 people coming from Al-Qaeda in Libya who are now in Syria. Especially, you know that the military governor of Tripoli, Libya, is now in Skanderun in Turkey to organize all the fight inside Libya. And the head of what we call the Tripoli Brigade, which was the people from Al-Qaeda now responsible for the security in Tripolitana, they are now, all of them, inside Syria. And a famous Spanish reporter who was first in Libya recognized them here, inside, at the top of this so-called free Syrian army, but they are not Syrian. But, you know, in Libya, the support in the street, it was only in Syrianica, because there was an old contention between Syrianica and Tripolitana. This country was created artificially very late. So you don't have such a thing in Syria. In Syria, the only way to divide the people is to use the confessional war. So they try to do that now, opposing the Alawites to the Sunnis, and of course also to Christian Druze and so on. But the main fight they want to create is between Alawites and Sunnis. The last confessional war in Syria was 160 years ago, so it's difficult to create that.
How do you see the situation progressing now?
First, on the military level, I think that all the action to destabilize the country are not working. We see a lot of problems, a lot of people killed, but this is not the civil war they try to organize. If they want to enter with foreign troops inside, like they do in Libya, or using a proxy from the Gulf Council, I think they will have a very big problem, because this country is ready for battle. You know, this country is living since 60 years in the Middle East, always at war. That's not like Libya. Now, on the economic level, there is big problems. The beginning of sanctions destroy different part of the economy. Of course, all the tourism is totally destroyed. But during the winter, you have no more fuel. There is also a problem with different imported goods. Mm-hmm. But I think this is now changing, because there is a new agreement between Syria, Iran and China for that. So they try now to impose the Arab League sanctions, and it could be really a disaster for this country, but they discover very quickly that it will be also a disaster, an economic disaster for the others Arab countries around, so they have to stop these sanctions. So now Syria is able to resist a very long time to this pressure from NATO.
Do you think that President Assad, though, now has the capability and the capacity to remain in power?
Of course. And the problem is that the people who try to destabilize Assad will have a stronger Assad after that. They are creating a myth. They have already Hassan Nasrallah, and now they will have Bashar al-Assad. At the beginning, they have a wrong evaluation of the problem. They think it will be very simple to create the civil war, the fitna, the confessional civil war. But they make a mistake. They create this Islamic emirate in Deraa without the number of weapons they need. In Libya, when they create an Islamic emirate, when they create two big Islamic emirates in Libya and in Syrianica, they have a lot of weapons from the beginning, because they seize the weapon from the army. Not only the weapons sent smuggling underground, you know, but they have very big stocks. So they can have a basis to extend the civil war in the country. But here, they failed. And after that, they use the people they have sent, going from one town to another, creating problems from one town to another, but not able to destabilize all the country at the same time. And I think now it's too late. they will fail.
Thank you very much for joining us.